Hi everyone and welcome. Today we are conquering what might be your favorite Mexican restaurant dish, Enchiladas Verdes. I'm going to show you a straightforward, no-fail method to make these at home, and trust me, the result is absolutely incredible. But before we can start cooking, we need to get the right ingredients. A great dish starts with a great shopping list. Now watch as I overview everything you need here. First, we'll need one whole white onion. This is going to build the savory, sweet foundation for our salsa verde. For our heat, we'll have 2 jalapenos. This will give the sauce a perfect medium spice, but you can always take the seeds out to make it milder. And of course, a big bunch of fresh cilantro. This adds that essential bright herby flavor that you can't get salsa verde without. And here's the absolute star of the sauce, about 1 pound of tomatillos. This is what makes our salsa verde, giving it that signature tangy taste. Next up, a whole head of garlic. We're going to roast the cloves, which makes them sweet and nutty and adds a ton of deep flavor. I always have a ripe avocado on hand for plating. The cool, creamy texture is the perfect finishing touch for the warm enchiladas. For our filling, we're using my favorite shortcut, a pre-cooked rotisserie chicken. It's a massive time saver and the meat is already juicy and flavorful. You'll need plenty of shredded Monterey Jack. This is our primary melting cheese, the one that gives us that incredible gooey cheese pool. And for our second cheese, we have queso fresco. This is a soft, crumbly finishing cheese that we'll sprinkle on top for an authentic salty flavor. And a bit of sour cream for garnish. A nice spoonful at the end adds a cool, tangy creaminess that brings the whole dish together. We'll also need some chicken broth. This is just to help thin out our salsa in the blender to get it to that perfect, pourable consistency. And of course, corn tortillas. Later in the video, I'll share my #1 secret for how to prepare these so they absolutely will not break when you roll them. Finally, our simple pantry staples, salt and a neutral cooking oil. The salt will season every layer and the oil is the key to getting our tortillas perfectly soft for rolling. Alright, let's get started on the absolute star of our salsa verde, the tomatillos. The first thing we need to do is to get them out of these papery little jackets they come in. They should peel off really easy. Now, once they're peeled, wash them in the sink and put them in a bowl. Okay, now our tomatillos are ready to go. Next up is our white onion. I prefer using a white onion for fresh salsas because it has a cleaner, sharper flavor that turns beautifully sweet and savory once we get it on the grill. The prep for this is super simple. First, I'm just going to carefully slice off the top stem and the bottom root end. This immediately gives us 2 flat, stable surfaces to work with, so the onion won't roll around on us. And now that we've cut the ends off, you can see how this dry, papery outside skin just peels away really easily. We'll discard that. The last step is to cut it right down the middle, and the reason we do this is that now we have 2 perfect halves with these big flat surfaces. When we place these cut side down on the grill, we're going to get a beautiful even char, which translates to a ton of smoky flavor in our finished salsa. We'll just add these to our prep bowl, and we're ready for the jalapenos. Alright, time to add some heat with our jalapenos. Now here's the most important thing to know about any hot pepper. Almost all the intense spice lives in the seeds and the white membranes on the inside. The green flesh itself just has a delicious bright pepper flavor. For this recipe, we're keeping it simple and grilling them whole. We'll just add these to our bowl and don't forget to wash your hands well after handling them. Okay, let's get our garlic ready. We're going to use this entire head because when you grill garlic, that sharp, pungent flavor transforms into something incredibly sweet, nutty, and savory. It adds a ton of depth to the salsa, so don't be shy. My method is to first break the head apart into all of its individual cloves. Then for each clove, I find it's a little easier if you first peel off that tough little root end and the bottom. Once the ends are gone, you can see the papery skin just slides right off. We're going to do this for every single clove. It takes an extra minute, but I promise you, having all of this amazing roasted garlic flavor is totally worth it. I put these in a separate bowl, and then we'll get ready for the salt and oil. Okay, I have my main vegetables all prepped and ready to go in this bowl. To get them ready for the grill, we just need to add a little bit of seasoning. First, I'm going to add a good drizzle of oil. I'm not measuring here, you just want enough to give every vegetable a light, even coating so it won't stick to the grill. And then a generous pour of salt. Now I'll just give this a really good toss to make sure that every single piece is seasoned and ready to get that beautiful char. Now for our garlic. Because the cloves are so small and delicate, I like to give them their own separate preparation to make sure they're seasoned perfectly. Just like before, they get their own little drizzle of oil and a pinch of salt. We'll give that a quick toss as well. Perfect. Now both our main vegetables and our garlic are ready for the grill. I'm using a grill basket today, which is a fantastic tool that keeps our vegetables from falling through. I have my grill on medium heat, and I'm going to start by adding the vegetables from our large bowl first. These are bigger and have more water, so they need a head start to soften up. I let these go for about 10 minutes, giving the vegetables a good flip every so often to keep them from sticking. Okay, our main veggies have had their head start, so now it's time to add the garlic. This is a really important tip. Garlic cloves are small and can burn very quickly. By adding them in later, we ensure they get perfectly roasted and sweet without turning bitter, right as our larger vegetables finish cooking. While our vegetables are on the grill, getting all of that amazing smoky flavor, it's the perfect time to get our fresh cilantro ready. This is a great way to use that cooking time so you're always moving forward. Now you can't have salsa verde without cilantro. It adds that essential bright, fresh, herby flavor. A lot of recipes will tell you to just chop up the stems and all, and that's totally fine. But for this recipe, I'm going for a really smooth, refined texture. Perfect. This big pile of leaves is now ready to go straight into the blender with our hot vegetables as soon as they come off the grill. Okay, our vegetables are off the grill, and my kitchen smells absolutely incredible. Now it's time to turn this into our beautiful salsa verde. I'm just going to carefully transfer everything from the grill basket directly into the pitcher of my blender. To season it, I'll add a tablespoon of salt and about a quarter cup of chicken broth. The broth doesn't just add a little flavor. Its main job is to provide the liquid needed to help the blender create a perfectly smooth sauce. Now here's how I like to get the perfect consistency for my salsa. Instead of just turning the blender on high and letting it go, I prefer to use the pulse setting. And by pulsing it, we got it to the perfect texture. A beautiful smoky vibrant salsa verde. The color is amazing, and now we're ready to let it simmer on the stove. Now let's pour it into a saucepan and put it on the stove. So I'm just going to bring this to a gentle simmer over medium-low heat. You're not looking for a big rolling boil, just these small, slow bubbles are perfect. We'll let this go for about 10 minutes, and I'll give it a stir occasionally just to make sure nothing sticks to the bottom. Okay, our salsa is simmering and building all that amazing flavor. We're going to use this 10-minute window to create our incredible chicken filling. This is the secret to making sure every single bite is moist and packed with flavor. The first thing I like to do is get all the skin off right at the beginning. It makes the chicken easier to handle, and since we won't be using the skin in our filling, we can just peel it all off now and place it into our scrap bowl. Alright, now that you've removed the skin, we can easily take it apart. The meat is so tender from being slow roasted that the legs and wings should pull away from the body with just a gentle twist. Now your chicken should look like this. Next, I'll just cut away the large breast meat pieces right off the rib cage and put them in my other bowl. Once you have enough, just shred the meat with your fingers to make it the perfect consistency for our filling. I decided to transfer the shredded meat to a larger bowl for the next steps. Okay, we have our beautiful bowl of shredded chicken, but this is where we transform it from just plain chicken into an amazing enchilada filling. This is a step that guarantees the inside of your enchiladas is just as delicious as the outside. First, I'm going to add about 1 cup of our shredded Monterey Jack cheese right on top of the chicken. Then, right on top of the cheese, I'm going to pour a big scoop of our hot salsa verde. The heat from the sauce is going to hit that cheese and start melting it right away, which will help create an incredibly creamy filling when we mix. And now, we mix it all together. That hot sauce and cheese are combining to create this amazing creamy coating for every single piece of chicken. It just comes together perfectly. Alright, our sauce and filling are ready, which means it's time to assemble. We're going to start with the most important step, preparing our corn tortillas. I promised I'd show you a secret to making them pliable so they don't crack when you roll them, and this is it. I'm heating up some oil in this skillet over medium heat. We're going to quickly fry each tortilla for about 15 seconds per side. Remember, the goal here is to make them soft and flexible, not to make them crispy like a chip. As soon as the tortilla comes out of the oil, while it's still warm and flexible, we're going to dip it straight into our pan of warm salsa verde. Just a quick dip to coat both sides. Then, we lay our saucy tortilla flat in our baking dish and grab some amazing chicken filling. We'll put a good spoonful right down on the center and roll it up tightly. Now watch as I pour the rest of our beautiful green salsa right over the top. You want to make sure every single enchilada is coated generously. I'll use my spatula to spread it out evenly. And now for our final step before the oven. We're going to cover this whole dish with the rest of our shredded Monterey Jack cheese. My philosophy here is that there's no such thing as too much cheese, so don't be shy. Make sure you get it into all the corners. Now let's take a trip to our oven where we have it set at 400 degrees. 20 minutes later and your enchiladas should look like this. Now I know how tempting it might be to dive right in, but it is important that you let it sit for 5 minutes. This allows the sauce and cheese to firm up slightly, so the enchiladas will hold their shape perfectly when you serve them. Trust me, this little bit of patience is worth it. And now on to the plating. You can use just 1 or 2 of these, or if you're like me, you can go for a little bit of everything. First, I started with a few slices of our creamy avocado. Then I added a smear of sour cream for that cool tang, and finished it off with a sprinkle of salty cojita cheese. And just like that, dinner is ready. Let's eat. Time to try it. It's really good. Honestly, some of the best enchiladas I've ever had, but that might just be because I made them.